Can Washington beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship? That's the question that we all got. Now, we know Saquon has been phenomenal. He's been a one-man wrecking crew, and he's taken a lot of load off of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts. But Washington is playing with a chip on their shoulder. And playing any team that has a chip on their shoulder, now, almost every team has a chip on their shoulder. You know, like if it's the Jets or the Jags, you know, they're like the laughing stocks of the NFL. You know, if you're an Eagles fan, it's Hurts can't get it done, or the Eagles just, you know, their fan base or anything like that. If you're the Chiefs, you're looking at a three-peat. There's always a chip on everybody's shoulder. But Washington has this, like, bigger chip on their shoulder than anybody else right now. Because we weren't supposed to make it this far. People had us going 4-13. And Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and Dan Quinn, and Cliff Kingsbury, they were like, oh, excuse me? 4-13? We are way better. I see 53 guys on this team that are way better than 4-13, and they don't deserve that. And with them having a chip on their shoulder, you guys got to stop Saquon. I don't care how big of a chip is on your shoulder right now. Saquon is a problem. He is a problem. You look at what he's doing to some of these teams. The past 2 games the Eagles have played in the playoffs, Green Bay and the Rams. Green Bay, he could have taken a, last-minute touchdown, 70-something yards. Last game, he took a last-minute touchdown, 60-something yards. He will hurt you. And he will put the nail in the coffin. Now, this is a divisional rivalry game. So, therefore, there's going to be a lot more, animosity there. And I'm going to need Marshawn to lock up. I'm going to need St. Juice to lock up. I'm going to need all hands on deck. Because that front 7 needs to stop Saquon. And people say, well, don't load the box. Don't load the box. Because if you load the box, then A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to carve you up. I'm not really worried about them. I'm worried about Saquon, the man that almost rushed for 2,000 yards this season and who led the league in rushing by himself. And then, also, he's been kind of killing it the last 2 playoff games. If I'm Washington, I am going to look back at what happened last game. Now, yes, Philly could have beat us and Jalen Hurts got hurt. I understand Jalen Hurts got hurt and they were up like 14 and Washington came back. And people were like, well, Jalen Hurts was injured and he was on pace to blow them out a lot. It doesn't matter. Kenny Pickett was put in there with a 14-point lead and couldn't get them enough points to last us out. And then, not only that, you got to think, we still had to come back. So even if Kenny Pickett put up 14 more points, guess what? We still had to come back. And so it is 1-1 in the regular season, but we all know in the playoffs, regular season don't count in the playoffs. Regular season just proves you made it in the playoffs, but in the playoffs, it matters who you beat. Not the Eagles. They've beaten Jordan Love and the Packers. They had no wide receiver core. They beat the Rams. The Rams, they came alive towards the end of the year. They got a late fire underneath their belt. But now you're going against Washington, who beat the Buccaneers. Keep in mind, Baker was on fire for most of the year. And then we beat the number 1 seed. We beat the number 1 seed Lions. Ben Johnson running all his trick plays, Aaron Glenn running blitzes at Jaden Daniels, and guess what? We beat them. whether they had Aiden Hutchinson or whoever, in the game or out the game, we still beat them. Because injuries didn't matter to them when they went 15-2. So injuries should not be a key part in why we won with them in the playoffs as the number 1 seed. So now we got to face the number 2 seed, Eagles. And I think Washington can pull it off if we can force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball. Get them to go away from that run game early. Show Saquon that Saquon not finna rush for 200 yards on us or $150. Now, if they get down to the goal line and he get 3 touchdowns from the goal line, I could live with that because that means you had to throw your way down the field and Saquon got to get 2-3 yards a carry. But him breaking off 60, 75-yard runs, you're not going to beat him like that. You're really not. So, Washington has a shot. And that's exactly what I said with Detroit. Washington has a shot. But you got to stop Saquon. That is end of all days, end of topic. Saquon is first priority. And if you don't stop Saquon first, well, we got issues there. We got a lot of issues. So, Washington, I'm rooting for y'all. I want it to be a Commanders Super Bowl, and I want to be able to talk my shit. So, Washington, I will be ready to watch that game. Let me know what y'all think Washington is going to do.